I refuse to show the logo. I will not show the logo. I got my MLB thing on.
Yeah.
I got my black sheep shirt on.
Nice.
We are the black sheep of the American League right now, boy.
Oh, we're not the black sheep. There's so many other black sheeps. We made the playoffs, and we just got destroyed.
What the freaking hell just happened? That was... hold on a second. What's going on with this stupid thing? My table's a little crooked here. There we go. Now I'm straight. I'm straight as an arrow. Hey, do I sound better?
You do. You sound amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do, but I can hear you. So
I'm going to school.
Sweet. Well, I am Greg, and that Jeff. Is Jeff, and we are, unfortunately, the 40-40 men. We are a little morose. I mean, it's not so bad if they lost the series, but that crushing defeat yesterday, an 8-1 lead.
What the? Okay, so okay, we've decided as we go on that today we are not going to talk about why. We're not going to discuss the reasons. Well, no, we are going to discuss the reasons why. Don't get me wrong, but we're not going to delve into. We're not going to have a set list today like we usually do of what we're going to talk about because
it's a little more free flowing forum for this one.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my.
Well, here we'll start it off. We'll start it off. I went to the game on Friday.
Okay? Yes, you did.
So I went to the game on Friday and figured, okay, you know what, that first inning kind of little implosion of Manoah, and okay, cool. It happened. It happens.
He was overhyped, but yeah, it happened.
Might have been overamped. He plunked a player. Almost plunked another one.
Totally overamped. You could see it. See it. Like I know where you were sitting. I'm surprised you could see anything.
Oh yeah, I was in the 500s. I was.
You're in that section of the Rogers Center where it's like, well, I can either maybe watch the game or I'll just react to what everybody else does around me because I can't see shit.
Well, we were.
But you were there.
Yeah. And that's
the
point, right? That's all that
matters.
And so 3-0 down, and they just couldn't. For the rest of the game, they would only get runners on when they had 2 out.
Luis Castillo pitched the game of his life.
Oh yeah, went into the 8th inning. Like he didn't even need to come out. He could have gone the distance.
But I mean, he had the entire game 2 extra miles an hour on his fastball the entire time.
He was still pitching 98, 97 in the 8th inning.
They said this may have been out of like 2,000 games or something that he's whatever number of games was he's participated in. What they were saying is that this may be the greatest game he's ever pitched in terms of the depth of his pitch, his movement, and his placement, and everything. Like he just had it going on, and of course that got all the guys going. Oh, we should have signed him. We should have signed Castillo. We would have been great. And then I have to remind people
but what do you give up?
He got traded. No, these are people who thought we could have signed him.
No, he was Cincinnati's property, like
exactly
right from the get go, and Cincinnati had a huge asking price for him. Seattle had the tools to give away, and they
gave away more than we did, than we could have.
And
that's fine.
And guess what? It did. It got them further than we did. So.
Yeah. It's like basically we gave that money to Barrios. Whatever Castillo was going to get, we got Barrios and thought that was going to be our guy, and we'll get into that later. But no, Luis, I'll credit Luis Castillo, and that's what everybody's doing. It's like he just pitched the hell of a game.
Yeah, like we couldn't get anything on him. Like once in a while we'd get a hit. Once in a while we'd get on base. It would be with like 2 out, or there was actually one instance where we got on. We had a runner on. I think it was like the 6th inning or whatever, 6th inning or 7th inning, and we had a runner on with 1 out, and then we hit into a double play.
Yeah,
I'm like all right.
It was just one of those games. Like they're saying, Buck Martinez kept repeating it over and over again. He goes, it's one of the greatest playoff pitching performances that we've seen against the Blue Jays in forever, and it was.
And it happens.
He just had a number. Now the next game, okay. Let me just correct myself on this one here, because I'm watching Teo and everybody's going, they're chanting the songs in the stands. It's 8-1. Everybody's doing good, and then Gausman gets a couple guys on, and the thinking of the manager is that Carlos Santana hits home runs better left-handed than right-handed. He's only hit 3 home runs right-handed. So their logic is to take out the guy you're paying $25 million a year for, who was rated the 11th best pitcher by Fangraphs in baseball, and you replace him with a guy who was on the injured list not so long ago, who came back pretty early from that injured list, was not pitching particularly sharply since that happened. He wasn't horrible. But you put in Tim Mesa so Carlos Santana can swing right-handed instead and still hit a home run? It made no sense. And then it just set everything back after that. The bullpen, and then the bullpen imploded. Bullpen
imploded. Collisions in the outfield. If there's something that could have happened, the bats were swinging. They got 10 runs.
Yeah. The baseball gods have been telling us, and I'm telling you right now, since the beginning of the season, this was not our year.
No.
It just wasn't. Because nobody played to their potential. We didn't have one guy with 100 RBIs this year. Not one guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I officially ripped up my Pro Line ticket last night. The one that was at the beginning of the season for the Jays to win the World Series. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to start the hashtag 2023 World Series, but I'll give it a couple of days.
Bo did not improve in the field from last year. He did not. He's the same. He's decent. He's got the third worst defensive metrics in baseball for shortstop.
He's error prone, and it's not so much error with the glove; it's more of a throwing error. And those seem to be the big errors he's making. And I agree with you.
And then going for balls he shouldn't be going for, exhibited yesterday by him knocking Springer out of the game, who was already knocked out. And that's the other thing I knew about baseball gods. Springer's been kind of hurt all year. And it's been like when he made that running catch up against the wall, and he just kind of hit the auxiliary scoreboard, and he came down and was like, "Oh my God, my hand!" I took his glove off, and you're like, "Okay, he's way too hurt to be playing as it is." And then they hit Merrifield in the head with a ball and knocks him out of the game, right? He was fine. You could tell he was fine, but they took him out anyway for precautionary measure. Obviously, he could have a concussion. So that now takes us out 2 outfielders and brings us down to Bradley Jr. Tapia, which is not – I mean, there's teams who have worse, but I mean, that's not ideal. Springer's like the rah-rah guy. Vladdy did nothing again, like he did the first game. There's something going on with that kid right now. Something going on with him.
I mean, one of the here's another thing as well, though. As a fan, it sucks watching a game like that, and as a player, it must really suck playing in that game. But the one thing that I do hope out of this is that it was such a crushing defeat that all the guys that come back for the next year are gonna use that as like a motivation. Like Schneider, if Schneider gets the nod again,
the only guys that are coming, but that are not coming back, or that are free agents, are Phelps and Stripling. They're the only ones who are not contracted. I would sign Stripling in a heartbeat. We need. I mean, the game proved we need a better bullpen. We just do.
We need, and as we've been saying all year, we need someone who can hit from the other side.
Yep. Anthony Bass just imploded. That's the thing. And he was great. That's the thing. Like, it's like every one of our pitchers except for Garcia just shut in that
game. Everybody had their bad game on exactly the same game.
They did.
Like
it's
like once in a while you get a bad game from someone and someone else can pick them up. No, everyone had their bad game. Everyone had like when you get,
weird, man.
freak defensive accidents like that, and then all the pitchers throwing up meatballs. Like, it's just
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
know.
it's I don't know. Like after what Teo did, it should have been it. Eight
Yeah,
one. Like even okay,
yeah.
even if you left
Even eight
Gosman in,
four, even 8-4,
yeah,
8-5, right?
even if Gosman was left in and gave up a home run to, it's still 8-5. But
Yeah.
then he can probably close out the inning. You can start fresh.
Hmm.
Beza obviously did not have it. It just, oh, where's my box score? Because it'll tell you everything you need to know by just looking at the box score. Everybody gave up. Everybody gave up everything. Like it
Yeah.
was just weird. So here we go. The only, yeah, like I said, the only one who didn't do anything bad was Garcia. He had a
Yeah.
strikeout in 2/3 of an inning. Let's see. Bass, no innings pitched, three earned runs.
Hmm.
Romano, 1 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. He did have 4 strikeouts. Gosman, his line giving up 4 earned runs, I don't think it's his fault really because Mesa gave up
Yeah.
that goofball home
That's a
run.
scoring. That's a scoring
Yeah,
issue. That is.
that's the thing. And then Simber came in for the last third, but he did walk 2 guys before getting the outs. Like, and then you look at our offense, and let's see, Springer didn't get any hits, but you could tell he was hurt.
Mhm.
Bichette 1 for 4, Guerrero 1 for 4, Kirk 2 for 4, Hernandez 2 for 4 with the home runs. Jansen was 3 for 5. Like I thought
Yeah.
Jansen might have been able to play. Espinal, give him
And
credit, two for four.
Jansen, was up near the end as well, and that's the same thing. He was having a good night, and I thought he was
Yeah,
going to be the one that was going to be the hero of the game. And
I
then it
was
comes
hoping
down to
that too.
it comes down to Tapia, and I was like, oh man, that sucks because I like Tapia, but
Yeah,
he does have the timely hits once in a while, but it wasn't in the cards. So
Merrifield should
yeah,
have been in there, but I mean, there's a reason they started Merrifield and left. They wanted the already lineup, and they did get to Ray.
you
I
know
mean,
what?
here's the thing: they got to Ray too.
I misheard that. I now know that you said Merrifield, but I thought you said Barfield. I'm like, oh man, if we had like 1984 Jesse
Yeah,
Barfield, oh yeah, 1985 Jesse
no,
Barfield, that would have
no,
been awesome.
1986 Jesse Barfield, but they got the 40 home runs.
Either way, like
The only Silver
81 to
Slugger
8,
award he ever
81 to
won.
80, 81
Yeah,
to 86. Yeah.
Barfield and that big butt sticking out while he's batting now. Yeah.
uh,
So now I thought possibly that Schneider was going to be a shoe in for getting a manager job, taking the interim tag off. I
mhm.
think this series has now uninsured that.
Yeah.
I was debating with some guys online. I'm like, look, they're going to do a search. And the guy's
Mhm.
like, no, it's 100%. They're just going to take his interim tag off. And I'm like, they could, but they won't
If he would have won this
because
series, if he would have won this series, he
it
would
would have
be
been,
the
yeah,
manager next year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now this because that this,
And what do you think they what's the odds on favorite that they're going to get your guy, Tony La Russa?
oh, you mean the guy who's retiring?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get Tony La Russa. You know who we
Bring him
should get
out.
is I'm telling you, man, John Madden.
Oh, he'd be great. Like
Because
that Madden,
like
the like what
he just
Madden
had a
can do
crappy team
with
in Anaheim. Like
yeah.
anytime he doesn't win, it's because he has a crappy team. It's not because he doesn't have
Yeah.
good players. He just has
Like
bad
but
players.
look at the the budget he had. Well, I mean, not him. It was the budget he was working with in Tampa for years,
Yeah,
and turned them into like a killer club. Like
and Kevin Cash
that's
kept
a
going with that.
yeah, and that is one of the things that I noticed about the game that I was specifically at is
Mm.
Seattle was literally trying to get a guy on base, run him across, and then every one of the Jays was trying to be the hero in that one. And I'm like,
Yep.
we have to get that mentality out. Like, yes, it'd
Yeah.
be great if you can be, but at some point we have to actually start playing baseball as a team. You know,
Yeah.
there's the art of the sacrifice. There's the art of a bunt to squeeze across. There's the art of just literally just getting a hit just to get on base, not trying to park it out. Just get a hit. Just get a
Well,
hit.
the other thing we need to do, and I'm telling you this is going to happen now, is they're going to blow this up. Not a big blow up, but the core is not going to be the core as it is. I mean,
There's gonna be three guys back
Bichette
of
will be
that.
back, Guerrero will be
Vladdy will be
back,
back. Yeah.
and Lourdes will be back. Teo will be gone. Kirk will be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they will. I mean, I'm going to say this again because we thought at the end of last year that Bichette was going to improve in the field. He did not.
He didn't.
He
He
didn't.
didn't. He stagnated for the first few months, and it wasn't until that September, where
Yeah,
like
I
tail
mean,
end of
he
August,
led the
early
league.
September.
He led the league in hits again. So I
Yeah.
mean, he's got the bat. The
Mm-hmm.
thing is, he can't. It's just he. I don't know.
We
I don't know whether he should. He needs another year. But I mean, this is that'll be his fifth year in the major leagues,
But
right?
this is the thing too. Move him to second, and like it's what
That's what
they
they
did to
should do.
Lourdes. Lourdes
That's
was
what
an
they should do.
infielder. He kept having throwing issues. Like, I
But
mean,
the issue,
it wasn't a throwing issue. It was an aiming issue because the guy can throw. We moved him to
yeah.
the outfield, and look what happened. That throw
Like I
now
said,
comes down and lands where it's supposed to.
Bo's got a decent arm. He just has no
Yeah.
accuracy with the arm. He's too flowy with it. I don't know if he's trying to be too much when he's at short. I'm telling you, when they keep doing the shift, because we do the shift more than anybody, and it'll be eliminated, thank God. I still think that if you keep shifting people like that, you're not learning your position anymore. You're not
No.
a shortstop. You're playing 60% of the time on the other side of the bag. So if you're playing 60% of the time on the other side of second, you're a second baseman. You're not a shortstop anymore. So when you come back over and less than half of what you're doing is your natural position that you're not playing, like no wonder Chapman has to be like playing in the middle all goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people take that into consideration, is that the way the defense is now, you're not what you are. And so maybe he should be a second baseman. Maybe Espinal should play shortstop. Like maybe they should flip him around. Why not? Because of Bo's ego? Because he's got the second most errors again. I said, he's not getting better. He's not, like, if there was improvements, I would say, okay, maybe he's still a slow learner, but I mean, he can make the average plays, but he can't. He's not good enough. If we're going to be a
Well,
World Series team, his defense is not good enough. So what you see, this is what I would do if I had the choice. Because now you're getting, they're past. We talked about team control. We just passed their fourth year. There's only 3 more left. All right. Well, this isn't a Jeff gun. I'm not going crazy.
Oh no, it sounded like it.
No. Teo.
No? Oh, Boo Earns.
Yeah, sorry.
Boo Earns.
I'm still in grief. That's why I'm wearing black.
Okay.
Teo, Bo, and Kirk get traded. Yeah. Because I think Orelvis Martinez is going to be ready next year, personally. Matt Chapman's going to be here for another year.
Chapman did exactly what he was fine. There was nothing wrong with Chapman.
You trade those 3 guys for a young controllable starting pitcher and a left-handed hitter. That's what we trade them for. You might throw in some prospects in there as well, or you use them in different trades. I don't know how it would work out. But those 3 players plus some guys in the minors should fetch us a controllable young starting pitcher, maybe some decent relief. You know what I mean? And a left-handed, not necessarily a power bat, a left-handed average on-base percentage high.
It's just someone who can hit left. It doesn't even matter if they're good or if they're wet. Like, it's someone that can hit left to give the pitcher something else to look at, as opposed to just being able to curve it in.
Like, I would still go for Ian Happ. I think he'd be perfect because he can take over in center and move George to right, where he should be. Because George, obviously, but I'm very curious to find out in this offseason what surgeries George Springer will be having. Because I have a feeling it's going to be multiple surgeries. Like knees, elbow, wrist, like those 3 alone. So it's why I started taking collagen supplements. gotta get those joints moving good, right, man? Gotta get them all like lubricated.
That was almost a plug for collagen, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug something else right now. So give us a sec. Well, hey, folks. The fast fashion industry makes up 10% of CO2 emissions and pollutes and dries up water resources around the world. 85% of all textiles end up in a dump each year. Do you want to change those stats and look good while doing it? Then shop the Canadian Way. The clothing created by the Canadian Way is made from repurposed, recycled, and or biodegradable materials, manufactured in CO2 neutral sites and by workers who are paid a proper wage, and within this great country of ours, Canada. So if you're tired of contributing to the endless supply of garbage produced by humanity, then shop the Canadian way, starting fall 2022. The Canadian way. I'm not going to put the music back on because we've got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
So
one thing I noticed at the game, like I didn't get a chance to go to a ton this year. I went to 4.
I didn't go to 1.
That's it.
No, 1.
Went to 4. And you know what I've noticed? No wave.
Thank God.
No, I love
they did it. They did it yesterday. You could tell. You could see the people in the stands watching. That's the thing. You can always tell when they do a wave on TV because when they do a shot and you look at the stands, you can see the people looking over, waiting for it to go. Like, oh my God, they did it and kept it going!
That's my favorite. That's literally my favorite. Each time I've gone to the games, there's been no wave.
I hate the wave.
I love the wave.
I used to love the wave when I was a kid. I started a wave in 1983. I did in the old Exhibition Stadium. I started a wave of 44,000 people, whatever the heck.
I love the wave in Exhibition Stadium because there was, you start down the first base side, and then go around that L, and then you go into the old grandstand, which was like the old Argos thing, and then there's nothing, and then there was nothing. The big empty space where the concert stage was pushed to the back part, and then you would have to sort of reassess.
What I found funny is when they were doing really well, and they would sell out the seats all the way down that grandstand side, and you're like, how can you people even see anything? Like
it's just being there. Yeah.
I mean, there's being there, like you're kind of being there, like those, and I've been there before. 500 level, the seats where you're just there to be part of the experience. But those kind of being there, it's like I'm just gonna watch the Ferris wheel go around.
I did one of the things I did remember in those seats and in the old grandstand seats there was when a home run would go there, and then you would see the people running in each aisle. Yeah, like in the outfield just to get it. So it looked like those things literally at a fair where you're squirting the gun and each horse is in their own little lane and seeing which one will get to it first, and whoever happens to end up.
It's the closest I've ever come to a ball. Like I've never caught a home run ball.
Really?
But nope, never even been in the same section as a home run ball.
Oh,
okay? Or a foul ball. No. This is the only one time. It was Cal Ripken's rookie season. Okay, he hit a home run. Yep.
83, yeah.
83, and he hit a home run and went off my dad's hands. It landed right in my dad's hands.
No.
You should have seen the bruises left for weeks after that ball bounced off his hands. And it went all the way down to the bottom, and all the kids were diving, and then some guy, I think he was selling I can't remember if he was selling whatever. He was one of the guys selling something, and he picked up the ball, he went, meh, and threw it up. And then all the kids with their gloves were diving into the aisles trying to get it, and I didn't get it. All we got from that.
I've caught a bunch, and I've caught a bunch, and it's just such a random thing. Like a couple of home run balls as well. Yeah,
it's so random. I'm surprised. I've been to a lot of games in my time. This year I haven't, but I mean I've probably been to a couple hundred, and not once have I been anywhere near a ball. Like seriously, not even within a section next to my section. It's really bizarre. I don't know why, because I've always sat in the 100s usually, or 200s. That's my section. I don't do the 500s, so I should have extra chances.
I would throw myself under the bus by saying, "Yep, balls have a way of gravitating towards me," and that just sounds awful.
Well, that's now I feel better. Now I feel
all right,
so
here
much
we go.
better that no balls
Baseballs.
in my face. Yeah,
baseballs have a way of gravitating towards me. Yeah, it's such a random thing. Like I have sat down the foul lines periodically as well. Now that there's the fences there, though, it's a little different. But as a kid in South Africa playing cricket, you're not afraid of catching a ball with your bare hands. I'm fine with it.
No, yeah. I used to bring a glove. Now I'm like, if I'm really worried, I'll use my hat. I'm always wearing a hat.
I'm in the realm of kids can bring a glove. And if you know that you're sitting in the first row, like over the dugout or over something like that, then yes, you can bring a glove because then you can get that extra thing. But if you're an adult, hands. Yeah.
No, I agree. But now with the fencing, everything kind of changes. So you don't really need the glove anymore because you're not having to stop those 95 miles.
No, so you're gonna get the sky high pop ups. That's it, and that's enough time to come down and
And then when people miss those, we can boo them like crazy because they deserve it.
Oh, and it happens.
Oh yeah,
it happens. And when they miss, those things skyrocket back up too. It's like a Super Ball, like when you used to bounce it on the concrete and boom.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually kind of cool.
Speaking of bouncing balls, who are we going to bounce out of this place? So okay, Bullpen.
Oh yes. Okay.
Okay. So
Well,
Romano survives.
Romano we keep Romano. We
Garcia
keep Pop.
survives.
We keep
Simber
Pop.
survives. Pop survives.
Pop survives. We do not keep Michael White or Mitchell White, I should say.
No, Mitch White gets kept, but he'll be put in the minors. It's like we talked about, I think last week. His beginning with the Jays is just like Ross Stripling's was, exactly the same, and he has the capabilities. I've just noticed that he has no depth to his pitches. They're very flat. So if he can develop some depth to it, he'll have a chance. He's got the arm, but I wouldn't count on him being on the opening day roster for sure.
Nope.
We're gonna say we have to sign. I think Kikuchi can do well next year. I think they're going to give him the shot again. They have to give him a shot again.
They're dragging his contract. Yeah,
but he did all right. I mean, he'll be the fifth starter in such a way that he's going to get a lot of extra. He'll be like Hyunjin Ryu. He's going to get extra rest. I don't know what it is with the guys. I don't know if it's because they pitch further between starts in Japan and Korea. Maybe I don't know for sure, but those pitchers always seem to have a problem adapting to, the 5-day rotation or the 5-man rotation here. The only one that really hasn't is
Nomo
Darvish.
Nomo didn't. I mean, like you're seeing, Ohtani do well.
But you think about it, is there a lot of? But Ohtani doesn't do every 5. If you look, because they had a 6-man rotation.
But that's the thing is like he's actually active more than most pitchers because he's pitching and then he'll be batting for 3 games.
But they had a 6-man rotation in Anaheim, so he wasn't.
But that's to give him those batting days, literally. Like
it was also because they had 6 pitchers they wanted to try and they wanted to save his arm. That's why he only had 25 starts. Because they're never going to pitch him 30 to 35 starts. They won't because they're afraid he's going to blow his arm out, which he possibly could. Now, that's the other thing we can talk about later is the MVP race because it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I got to see the rookie of the year pretty much, destroy us in the first game because it was Rodriguez that
twice.
Rodriguez got got a jack in the first inning, literally, and that was actually something that I noted to. So whenever they put up little stats underneath the scoreboard, underneath the jumbotron, just to sort of give you an extra thing, and it says the only Dominican-born rookie to lead, the only Dominican-born player to lead all rookies in WAR. WAR has been a stat for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that? But a stat that they've been taking care of. Well, are you telling me that Roberto Clemente or anyone like that would never have, there's no way.
Bruce War is like they've now backtracked the war, so you can actually.
But
that's true, right? But I know what you're saying because it is. No one's been counting war stats since back then.
Yeah, and it's literally like saying and like Jackie Robinson is the first black player to lead the league, and like, well, yeah, because he was the first black, So I just found that one actually kind of like I'm pretty sure it was I only paid attention to it later on in the inning and it's like they probably put up enough useless stats that it was just like, well, we got to say this one here. So there you go.
But he's probably right. Like he had a pretty good season for a rookie. I'll give him
he had a great season.
And it's funny they were saying on MLB Network, they're like, oh, he's like this extra piece where he's a driving force. He just makes them a different type of team. The way he's so energetic and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, if one guy changes the complexion of an entire team like that, it's not baseball because it doesn't work that way. But they were talking about it like, oh, he's like the second coming of Jeebus. Oh, Jeebus Rodriguez coming around.
Well, I mean, you never know. He could be that guy in the dressing room that does light a fire under anyone or makes everyone a little better.
They say just the way because there was the example they were using was at the game before the game started yesterday. Rodriguez was out signing autographs. Mm-hmm. For like Blue Jay fans, and they just thought that was all encompassing of the kind of person that he is. This is what he does. This is why he's so amazing because he just has fun and doesn't care. It's like, well, same with Vladdy. Like it's the same thing. Same with Romano. Romano loves signing. John Schneider loves signing autographs. He even said so in an interview yesterday. He's like, I love it. It's great. I love
Manoah does that too. Manoah, so
Manoah will go. Any big, I get what they're trying to get at. he is. He's a charismatic, very five toolsy kind of kid, and he's going to be
Yeah.
a superstar in the league. I get it, but come on, he's 21 years old. Give the kid a break. It's not a
I
21-year-old
mean,
is not changing the complexion of an entire team.
I
He's
mean,
contributing to the
you've
complexion.
got guys that are definitely, dressing room guys that contribute to the team, like on other things. Because I mean, Kawasaki,
Yeah.
he's somewhat legendary in Toronto, but he really only had like one key hit. But he was just a guy that lit up the room and lit up the stands whenever you would see him. Like
Well, they're
he was
saying
just so happy. Like
they're saying leadership wise, they said Chapman once he got established became like the vocal leader.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of
I
guys
see.
who are
And
established, but
Springer is kind of an emotional leader as well,
yeah.
though.
But what Chapman said is that the guy who actually surprised him that became very vocal leader and calling guys out was Manoah. Like
Oh
Manoah
yeah,
is literally, I'm telling you, and this is becoming his team.
yeah.
It is
Well, and I mean,
because the
it
way
also
the
helps when you're that size too, and you can
yeah.
you can go
But I mean,
shut up,
24 like a
sit down.
24-year-old sophomore calling out like a guy maybe who's playing a little bit longer than that's not an easy thing to do. To
No,
come in
but
and
if he's got a point, like if he's right, then
he
say
is
it.
pitched.
Yeah,
Here's the thing we know for his game. So, out of 16 starts at Rogers Center this year, didn't give up any first inning runs. This start,
and
he gave up 3.
the start,
Right?
3. Yeah,
And you get to, like I said, he was overthrowing. He was really into it. They're all going to learn from this. They keep talking about learning. You know what?
oh,
They could have learned after 20. They could have learned after 21. Like there's something missing in the
yeah,
chemistry
oh
of
yeah,
this
most
team,
definitely. And
and that's where
they've
you
got
need
they've
that culture shakeup.
yeah, they've got a whole off season to do it. Like you do have guys that you got to keep, and then there's also I do see guys that will have to go in order just to be like, okay, this is what you've done. Because like that little shakeup they did with getting rid of Montoyo,
Mm-hmm.
I like that was something, and as we'd stated, like they probably would have done it, a week or two earlier
Yeah, but they couldn't because of
if they're
Brzezinski.
because of Budzinski's, yeah,
Yeah,
right. So you do it just before the All-Star game, and they came back and they were a different team. Like
yeah,
a little more
but
business. So
but they were
yeah, you
still
can.
like this thing. They were maddeningly inconsistent. They never had a huge run. They
Yeah,
never had a huge like loss run either. They were just kind of like
yeah,
again. They had
but
great September that would save their season again. But
and but
going into that,
you can't be upset of a 91-92 win team, right? Like
no.
a team that gets into 90 wins.
Like
Like
how many wins did Cleveland get? Do we? Because I think either we have
Cleveland,
the third. We have either the third best
we would
record.
have been the division champ
Yeah.
if we were in the Central, right?
Okay, so
Like
we have the
that's
third best record in the American League,
yeah,
and it just felt like all season there was something missing the entire time.
yeah.
It just felt like we just never like Vladdy was missing something, Bo was missing something, everybody was just
Mhm.
missing something. Springer was hurt,
Yeah.
just Teo got hurt and came back and was on fire at the end. It
We
was all
lost
the
for
end again.
you.
We lost for you. Stripling
Like
became like a vital
Kikuchi
part.
just couldn't get out of the first 2 innings. Like,
Yeah.
there was always something.
So it was just something. So hopefully, like this is going to be the first real adversarial kind of off season
Yeah.
for Atkins. There's
I'm
already people
I'm
calling for their heads. I've seen people calling the DFA Springer and like just dumb emotional stuff like
it's
Leaf fans
take 2
responding.
days to assess the loss and then go, all right, okay, here's what like you can't say it like right away, but also it is I'm a Toronto sports fan. It is Toronto sports fan, like to
Yeah.
either don't touch anything or blow the entire thing up. There's never
Yeah.
just like, okay, you know what, you need a piece. It's either like blow it all up or
Well, all the fans still seem to want to keep Schneider, which I get, but like I was telling these guys is they're gonna do a search now. They have to.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you can't. After what happened, maybe they're thinking like I know he's a lifer. He's won everywhere he's gone. Like he's got that with it, but maybe he's too close to these guys. You know what I mean?
But,
Like
but he could still be the bench coach. Like he could still be
and that's the thing. And I think he would go back to that position at this point, but depending on who comes in, I think when you're as close as he's been and through these with these guys,
yeah.
he even said Hazelman did an interview with him and he's like I do say the tough things because I have to say them. I don't like it, but I do it because I know it's part of the job. But that's not the way it should be. He shouldn't feel like he has to whatever because he's too close with these guys. And maybe when you grow up too close, it's different.
That's like a manager's job at this point in time. Is what you're really doing is, you're monitoring the bullpen, but you're kind of managing egos.
Yeah,
that's what it is being a sports manager. Like, it's one of the best ways to sort of equate it. Like, you always get, the big European soccer managers and stuff like that, and Mourinho's an idiot, and he always calls himself, the special one, the chosen one. I'm like, no, you just get given this, 500 million euro team, and all you have to do is just make sure they don't fight. It's not your game tactics or anything like that. Make sure they don't infight.
European football world.
Yeah, literally. That's what it is. Yeah.
Cito even said that. They did an interview with him. He was saying the big thing was I just managed egos. He goes, I needed to get to know the players and what they were like. I needed to know how to work with them, and that was it. One thing I hope that they don't do as much, and I know this is a baseball trend, but I think it needs to be curbed a little bit, is the multi-positional player. Like, you can have a guy on the bench that's multi-dimensional, like Kevin Biggio, but why does everybody have to be a multi-dimensional player? Like, they don't.
I get the the outfield third base, because that you have to have a bit of a cannon for an arm and have to have some reaction and stuff like that. And I get the infielder kind of deal, but then catcher, you're a catcher. First base, you're a first baseman. Center fielder, you're a center fielder. Like, center fielder is pretty much that's it.
Well, Whit Merrifield played left field. They said he hadn't played left field in years until last night. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, I know that was out of necessity because of Lourdes being out, and they want to get a right-handed bat instead of having Tapia come in. But I mean, I think you need more positional just stability, and just have these guys like have your Chapman and your Vladdy, have your the guys up the middle should, especially up the middle, should be standard dudes. Your second base and shortstop combo, and your center fielder.
Tony Fernandez never played second base. Ozzie Smith never played second base.
Didn't Fernandez play second base with Cleveland?
You know what? No, because he was there the same time that Robbie Alomar was there.
Yeah, but wasn't he also there the same time as Omar Vizquel?
No, I don't remember.
Let's look this up. This is an interesting thing.
Okay, while you're looking that up, I'll do a little commercial break for us. Boom. All right. Let's do a beer commercial, folks. Now, this is a beer commercial. No, there's not going to be classic rock and a ridiculous cottage by the lake with girls in bikinis trying to sell you schlock beer. There is a girl, however, who is the brewmaster, and she makes killer beers. It's a small independent brewery out of the south end of this nation's capital. That is this nation, Canada. And the beers are certified kosher. You'll find an incredible lineup of session ales, Vienna lagers, sours, stouts, pales, IPAs, English ales that are definitely not run-of-the-mill. And my personal favorite, the Belgian beer snob. So they don't need to throw around the idea that your summer's going to be awesome if you drink their beer. They just make good beer. But if you do have an amazing cottage by the lake with jet skis and 80s rock playing in the background, possibly Whitesnake, it can't hurt to drink Shillow beer too. Visit shillowbeer.com.
Haha, I was right.
You found it? He played second.
He's been a lot of second, actually.
Really?
Let's see. 1994, he was with Cincinnati for a spell. Played some games there. 1995, New York Yankees. He was a shortstop. Well, I also played second 4 times.
I remember him on the Yankees. I honestly do not remember him on Cincy.
1997, 109 games at second base.
What?
In Toronto in 1998, 82 games at second base. 1999 in Toronto, he played 1 game at second base. And then he came back in this last season of 2001. He came from Milwaukee to Toronto. Well, I don't remember that. And he was a DH for 13 games.
Okay, but here's my statement about that. Like, that's Tony Fernandez at the tail end of his career, right? Like, when Tony Fernandez was in his prime, he's not playing second base. He's playing short.
I mean, he started in 83, so 12 years into his career, 11 years into his career is when he first started playing second. He played he also played third base for Cincinnati in 1994.
Well, I mean, if you look at Russell Martin in the last year that he played for us, he played every position. And then 2 games left.
No, when I mention these because there's considerable numbers behind, not just like here. Like he played 93 games at third base in 1994.
93 games at third.
Yeah, with Cincinnati.
That's crazy.
In 94, he played second and short. So he played 93 games at third, 9 at short, and 5 at second for the 94 Cincinnati game, Cincinnati Reds. And then, the strike happened, obviously. And then 95, he signed with the Yankees, played shortstop for 103 games. But he also played second base 4 times. And then 97, he's with Cleveland, 109 games at second, 10 at short, 1 as a DH. And then in 98...
I do not remember him in Cincinnati, though. That blows my mind.
And then in 98, he was 82 games at second, with Toronto, 54 at third, no games at short in 1998. Because I believe that would have been the Alex Gonzalez years.
Yeah.
And he was all right. He was a good fielder. But anyway,
actually,
I just wanted to get into
that's something to note, because I did take some photos of. I'm not going to show them up here because it's an audio podcast, but I did take some photos of the good jerseys. Yeah, we're on YouTube. Okay, I can put it up later. But it's always fun to see what jerseys people bust out, right?
Yeah, I saw you showing me those. Yeah. What was the most obscure one you saw?
So there was a black John McDonald. There was a black Roy Halladay one, which is pretty kick-ass. Well,
they were wearing in them, so
yeah. There was like the old school tee, Carlos Delgado, and that's someone that bought that like at the time, which was awesome. But
that old school tee was terrible.
Yeah, but got to see your Tulos. I did see a price, but this one was the one that sort of blew my mind. Brett Laurie. I remember how he even said to himself, "Look, I'm not the savior. I'm not Jesus." But instantly, jersey sales went up.
I bet you there's a ton of Laurie jerseys that are growing like cobwebs and dust in people's closets. It's like my AJ Burnett jersey.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Wasn't bad. Yeah, but he opted out.
Yeah.
Like if you get
opted out and went to the Yankees. Yeah. And it's one of those things, like I don't mind if you go, like it's the guys that go home that I've got no problem with. Like, when Burley, Burley went home. Burley he's a Missouri guy, and he went to St. Louis. Who was it? Scott Rowland was an Ohio boy. He went to Cincinnati. I've got no problem when it's guys that go home. But or
their original team kind of thing, like if they're there for a long time left,
like a home of
like a 1-day contract, retire, whatever.
Well, that's what Halladay did. Halladay, we plucked him as a kid, as like a 16-year-old, and then he retired as a J.
Yeah, it's funny how he retired as a J, but he wouldn't go into the Hall as a J.
Well, this is the thing. He never got a chance to decide if he went into the Hall as a J because he was.
That's the thing, dead,
but
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. Like, if you retire as a certain, wouldn't that be an inference that that's the team you would want to be referred? Like,
I think so. I think so.
I get because now
we've got
Philadelphia did.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he had playoffs with Philadelphia, which he didn't.
He had playoffs. He never had playoffs with us. He had I'm trying to remember. Was a no hitter or a perfect game in the playoffs? Yeah. It was a no hitter. It was a no hitter.
Yeah, he had the perfect game during the season.
No hitter in the season and a perfect game. And then he won Cy Youngs in both leagues.
Yeah.
So
he did get it, but you could tell he honestly thought he was a J. He always did.
Yeah, and he would also be off season around like the Jays, around the Jays training camp.
Yeah.
So
Steve did when he came back.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like he never got a chance to decide. So now we've got like a half a guy in the Hall because Robbie Alomar's in there, but we've now disowned him because he's an idiot.
I've had the amount of people that I've had discussions with on these
I did see a dude proudly wearing a Robbie Alomar jersey, like proudly.
I get it. I get why they do it. I don't agree with why they do it. They just think, it's just sports. It's sports. It's fine. It's just sports. Like, well, I know a girl who worked at the Skydome Hotel who had a very unfortunate experience with Mr. Alomar.
Mhm.
not like as bad as it could have been, but in the 15 minutes she was in his suite,
Mhm.
let's just say she met him during the day. He asked her out for a date. She showed up at 4 o'clock. He opened the door in a towel, and then 15 minutes later, she was out of his room and never talked to him again.
Yeah.
That should just tell you, like, nothing crazy happened, but enough crazy happened that she bolted.
She was. I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he's just a scumbag,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I think for us, I think Steve needs to get reconsidered for the Hall. Personally,
Oh, but him and Jack Morris are you know, like they
and Carlos
those
should be
guys
reconsidered.
those guys Carlos should, you know,
Well, if you look at the number, like I said, if you watch that Dave Steve documentary that I keep hyping from like Dorktown, the 4-part one,
mhm.
it's amazing, and it'll
Yeah.
show you how much better of a pitcher Dave Steve was to Jack Morris.
Fred
If you go by the
McGriff,
numbers,
there isn't a strike. He gets 7 more home runs.
yeah,
That's 500 home runs. You know,
yeah.
that's
That's
another
why
guy that came
counting
in.
stats are dumb. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have
Oh no,
round
I like
numbers.
there's specific marks. Like you hit
I get it,
600,
but
you hit 700. Yes,
493
obviously you're
home
going
runs.
in.
There's guys in the Hall with less than 493
Yeah,
home runs.
and
Like
Delgado had like 480 something, 490.
he was.
Like
I think he
he
had
was close to
454. Let's see. I've
454
got.
because I
Find
know he
it.
was close to 500. I know he was close to
Yeah,
500.
he wasn't far. That definitely was
Yeah.
not far. But that's the thing. I don't know. Is that again a bias against Toronto because people seem to think there is one?
Oh, but
He had
this.
473 home runs.
There
But here's the
most
weird thing.
definitely is. There most definitely is. If you're Joe Carter and you hit that home run in the '93 World Series, you play for the Cubs, you play for the Dodgers, you play for Boston, you play for the Yankees. It is the greatest moment in sports history. It ranks like number 7 or number 8 whenever they do something because he plays for Toronto. The Derek Jeter cutoff
But
throw is
is
rated
Bill
higher as that. And
Mazeroski
I'm
in the
like,
Hall? Bill Mazeroski's not
Bill
in the Hall.
Mazeroski isn't in the Hall, but Bill Mazeroski's one is supposed to be even better as well. And I'm like, that was a
But I'm saying
time.
it's the same kind of idea as Delgado because Delgado's was a monumental moment as opposed to a career.
No, Carter's.
His career was pretty average. It was.
Carter got
He
100
drove in a lot of
like
runs, but I mean,
over 100 RBIs every year he played, except for the strike year. Yeah.
yeah. Carlos Delgado's WAR was only 44.4, which is very low.
Yeah.
His OPS for his career 929.
Yeah.
His on base was 380. That's crazy. Like
Yeah.
Carlos Delgado he definitely needs to be.
Yeah.
He needs to be
Reassessed.
He just reassessed just because all these guys like.
Well, they're starting to do this. What is I'm trying to remember what they're calling it now because they actually have like a player reassessment for guys who have been skipped over.
Yeah, I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's this. Here's this. Now we talk about WAR, right? Because it's a counting stat. Do you know what Joe Carter's career WAR was? Remember I told you Carlos Delgado was 44.4, which was kind of low. What do you think Joe Carter's was?
I'm gonna say. Well, he was 29. Let's go.
He had 8,422 at bats. He had 396 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think his WAR was? If Delgado's 44.4.
Yeah, his is 16.
Close.
He's low.
19.5.
19. Yeah.
Now you got to, as long as he played, to have a 19.5 WAR when he drove in runs like we talked about, that just shows he was not the great. His OPS plus is only 105. His OPS is 771 for his career.
Oh, I'm not saying he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying like that home run, if he hits that home run as a Yankee, a Red Sox, or whatever, it's the greatest moment in baseball history. But because it was for a J, it's number 8.
He's still top 10. He's still rated top 10.
Yeah, but it's the number one. The number one is actually cool. Like whenever they do like their top 10 moments, the number one is the Kirk Gibson coming back with like 2 buggered up legs, and that the 88.
Oh, my knees.
And hits a home run. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I got no problem with that. But Joe Carter hitting it should have been higher than number 8.
Joe Carter. If you're talking about what the ramifications of what he did was, he should be number 1 because it was a clinched a back-to-back championship that hasn't been done since, for one thing, and it's for an entire
Oh yeah,
country.
no,
And he was involved.
The Yankees went back to back in like 2000 or
Did
like
they?
2009. It's 99 and 2000, yeah. And then because they had those like the tail end of like
Oh
99 to
yeah, that's right.
2005. Yeah, there was like
Yeah,
three
the
or
early
four they won.
years.
They didn't win the 2001. When
Yeah,
everyone kind of wanted them to because of 9/11, that was Arizona, that won that.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
they had a back to back.
well, Joe Carter. I mean, I think his accomplishment is slightly underrated. I think it's becoming more appreciated as it's gotten older, and you see,
Yeah.
and fans are getting older. I think people realize exactly what he did because it's shown a lot now.
Oh yeah.
I love looking at this picture of his just his headshot here. It's got the old Blue Jay logo on it. And it's funny how
Yeah.
the bird, even though they didn't change it very much, changed it a lot.
Oh
It's
yeah.
such
No,
a,
they did.
such a
It's
wussy
more
looking
angular.
bird then. Yeah,
It's
it's
more
just a
angular.
wussy. Yeah, it's rounded then. It's like, oh, he's so it's a beautiful Blue
Yeah.
Jay. Blue
No,
Jays are fierce birds, man.
you can tell by the profile. The profile is a little rounder, and then it has like the plumage on the top, and now it's like a little more angry. And
Yeah.
the
Oh, its beak is
the
completely like.
beak is pointier, yeah. Whereas
Yeah.
before it was actually a little short beak. Yeah. But now
So
this is sort of an offshoot of like the angry jays, like the black jays
yeah,
instead of like and I
yeah.
actually
Well,
have grown
that's
to
what Blue
like
Jays
that logo.
actually
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still talking about playoff stuff just outside the Jays for a
Oh
second
yeah.
here. Okay, so what surprised you more, the result of our series or the result of Cleveland Tampa Bay?
That one actually, because I mean, you said watch out for Seattle. Seattle's coming in hot. I mean, I wanted the Jays to win, but I thought Tampa was just going to wipe the floor with Cleveland.
Cleveland's
And
pitching is way better than people give them credit for.
yeah,
They
but I
they're
mean, it took 15 innings in game
gonna
two,
run,
right? But still,
yeah,
and just
one
one
nothing.
little but 15 innings, but still, the fact that Cleveland won that, and I mean now, so Cleveland's going to be facing the Yankees.
Yeah,
Seattle's facing Houston.
I think
Seattle
honestly, like
actually
it's.
plays. Seattle plays well against Houston. Seattle
I
plays well
just have a
against
very
Houston.
funny feeling, and the Guardians are. I just have a very funny feeling they're going to be that team this year. They're going to be
Well,
that playoff team.
that's
Because
kind of
everybody
who I'm
thinks
cheering
Seattle's going to
for,
do
right?
well because they're pitching, and they've got some like superstars.
Yeah,
Cleveland's not the greatest hitting team, but they've got some good players that can pull off. Like
yeah,
Jose Ramirez, all world. Stephen Kwan in left field has been a revelation for those guys. His
yeah,
defense, along with his, and then you got the two Naylor boys
yeah.
from
And
Toronto. They brought Bo up at the
and
end.
Quantrill's kid,
Yep. And Cal,
Cal.
apparently
Yeah.
Cal Quantrill has not lost at home in Cleveland in 2 years.
Wow, that's actually a killer stat.
That's a weird
I
stat. Yeah.
I kind of want
Plezak's not
Cleveland
doing
to
so
win.
hot.
I kind of
Dan
want Cleveland to
Plezak's
win
doing.
because
I do
of
too.
the fact that they're now the longest. What are they at 70?
Oh God.
70 some odd
Yeah,
years?
I think it was 1954 was the last time.
Because it was when it was them and the Cubs.
Yeah.
And the Cubs busted their their offer. It was I think it was like 180 or 190 years
I
worth
think
of
Cleveland
losing.
they've got the longest I think championship drought in sports right now.
Yeah, and I
The
mean
Leafs are not far behind.
Seattle's still, I mean, a new team. Like they came in the same time as we did. They've
Yep.
never been to the World Series.
Nope.
So I mean, it's tough to sort of
They
root
do
against
have
them
the
as well.
single season wins record though, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found interesting also from this is that the Cardinals are out. The Phillies knocked out the Cardinals with pitching and in the second game.
Yeah.
But the first game, like they just that comeback was crazy. I mean, there's two major crazy comebacks in one.
Well, that and both of them sort of resulted in like because it was 3-1 and what was the final score in that one 9-3, 8-3 or 9-3 or something like that, and like they just shut them down. Yeah. And I mean, I think the National League is said and done. It's the Dodgers.
Yeah. So it was 6-3 Phillies. Yeah, they came back with 6 in the, and then they won 2-0 yesterday.
Yeah,
which is crazy. The other weird thing Max Scherzer getting is ass handed to him. That was unexpected. There's just a lot. There's just and that's why I like about baseball. You just never know what's going to happen. Like every playoff, there's always something.
It's going to be the Dodgers in the World Series for the National League, and I mean, maybe. I would love to see Cleveland. I would love to see Cleveland.
I just have a really funny feeling Atlanta Atlanta gets it. I don't know why. I've just got this weird feel like the Dodgers should, as they should every year, mind you.
Yeah.
You know, they've got two of the top 10 hitters in baseball right now. Their pitching. This is the thing, though. Their pitching is always injured. They're always having to go into their depth.
Oh,
I'm just wondering if
but they have it. They have the depth. That's the thing.
Do.
That's the crazy part about it. Because like how many times has Kershaw pitched into the World Series? He's pitched a game in. He's not even going to showing up in this.
But your pitching depth only goes so far. You know, I mean, like eventually you're going to hit a roadblock, like Tampa Bay did. They must have, right? And then Kimbrel hasn't been that great in their bullpen. You know, if it wasn't for for Will Smith and Trey Turner and Mookie Betts, you know, their hitting isn't fantastic. Like there's the Ball Cap Sports has this great guy on who's from Toronto actually, and he did this analysis of the pitching.
Well, that's the thing. Bellinger actually had a bad year too. Yeah,
Bellinger's had a lot of bad years. Bellinger he's I don't know what's going on with him. He hit like 200, but I mean, he said he ranked all the offenses, and the Dodgers wasn't. I don't even think Dodgers might have been first, but not by much. The Jays were second.
Well, the Dodgers had the best
run differential.
Run differential. Yeah, I couldn't get that out of my head, but that was based on pitching.
Yeah. And that's 300 runs. That's a lot. Yeah. But anyway, the Dodgers is one of those teams who they should every year, but they don't. It's just like the Yankees should every year, but they don't.
They don't.
Like somebody's got to come through. The Padres seem to be having an interesting.
And that's why they always say that's why you play the games.
Exactly. See, and people need to stop freaking out about what's going on. Like, stop overreacting. Be upset they lost.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes.
All right. So, what do you think they're going to do next year? Do you think that do you agree with me? Are they gonna blow it up?
I feel that Kirk and Teo are gone. I feel that we are gonna probably dismantle the bullpen a bit. I do feel that Romano has played his way into the closer spot. Like that's him. He's fine. Yeah. And I think we're gonna be picking up another starter. I don't think they're gonna shop for that left-handed bat like we like, but I do feel it's another starter because Ryu's on he's out. Kikuchi is relegated to number 5, and Barrios just was not.
Well, do you think they just signed Stripling? Re-sign Stripling back.
Oh, they're definitely re-signing Stripling. They're definitely.
So I mean, if they do that, do they need to get another starter? Right now, if they re-sign Stripling, they need bullpen help. They need left-handed bat. That's what they need. So you got Alejandro, you got Teo, and you got maybe Bo.
But I think
somebody in the depths.
I actually like Kuchi pitching out of the bullpen. It's kind of funny that
for $12 million, I don't. That's a waste. That's just a waste of money.
It's a waste, but it's a better use of him.
Yeah, but you know what? They'll put him in the rotation first. And besides, we don't have any lefties in the rotation anymore. He'd be the only one. Yeah. You know, like we used to have a lot, and now we don't. And we need lefty everything. We need lefty throwers. We need lefty hitters. We just don't have enough left. I think you'll see Zulueta come up and hit and make it to the bullpen because he's a hard throwing guy. I think you're going to start seeing them try out some kids. In spring training.
I would like that. I would like our kids to take a step up too because we don't really have a hell of a lot in.
Well, we have that's the thing. We have a gap between our position players and our pitchers in the minors. Yeah. All the good pitching is in A ball or below, and all of our good hitters are in Double A or higher. So we got to bridge that gap a little bit. Hopefully, some of these pitchers like Zulueta takes a step up. Tiedemann might make the rotation.
Tiedemann, yeah.
You know, there's all these possibilities. I say they have to give the kids a try because they can't sign very much. I mean, you got to still worry about that payroll, which is why I think Teo goes partially because he's going to become expensive, and why I think they might trade Bo.
Yes, because Bo costs nothing right now because he didn't sign a contract. So
I just don't think Bo's into it, man. I don't know if he doesn't like it here. I just get this feeling from him that he just meh. Yeah, and that's just the feeling I get. It's not founded on anything. But.
All right, we're gonna have to cut it out because we're approaching the time. So
yeah, we'll see you all next week. We're still doing this.
Oh yeah, we're going to the World Series. Peace.
To the World Series. Yeah, bye.